So there was a little button quail that flew out, and those little button quails are a nightmare to get on camera, and so I was hoping that we could maybe try and sneak a little view of it, but we unfortunately failed. Right, so our leopard search is proving a little bit difficult. I lost the tracks pretty quickly. They didn't go down Vulture's Nest. We got to a nice soft part of Vulture's Nest and there was no leopard track there, so I'm thinking either this animal went straight towards Gowrie Dam and passed that way, in which case it could very well be Tumba's tracks from yesterday. They don't seem like they're yesterday's tracks, but I could just be wrong completely and wishful thinking. Or it's a male that's turned a different way or crossed over on that hard section, and I've just lost kind of where it goes. But difficult to say. I can't find anybody that's driven central yesterday afternoon or this morning, and so that doesn't help the situation, because you would think that if somebody drove here this morning, then they would be on top of their vehicle tracks, or if it was yesterday afternoon, potentially, you know, somebody came and then they kind of went over here during the course of the night. But nobody seems to have driven this area, so they could be yesterday's tracks at the moment. Now, what I want to do is just check Hyena Road quickly. Hyena Road cuts off to the right, so we haven't checked there. While I check there, let's send you back across to Ali, who's enjoying Chitwa Dam, and maybe there'll be an unexpected bird for her at the dam.
I wouldn't be surprised, although my birding seems to be proving a bit of a challenge right now. We are looking at two young hippos that are coming in and out of the water, and they seem to have a blast. They've been playing. Oh, there we go. Almost. They've been playing the whole morning, trying to shove each other underneath the water, pushing each other up and down. Now I'm hoping they're going to come up and carry on playing outside as they were earlier. So now they've gone a little bit shy and they've gone subaquatic. Come on, guys. It was a very entertaining game that you were playing. Now everyone's pretending that this didn't happen. Nobody's been playing. They've all been behaving. Little liars. There's the tiny ears coming out. Now it seems like there's also quite a bit of life on the island. Now this island tends to be so good for bird life. So many things living there, and probably because it's so far away from, or far away enough from the main area so that not too many predators can get to them. And all they have to do is just watch for the crocodiles, and I reckon that's probably just about it, because no other creatures, for example, I reckon pythons could get in there, but leopards, wildcats, servals would have more of trouble trying to get in there than any other creature would. So at least it's a nice and safe area for them. Now it seems like just far in the distance also the beautiful white-faced whistling ducks are there, just 3 of them this time, and not sure where the rest of them are. Perhaps just these 3 that are being left behind. And earlier on also the green-backed heron was hopping around feeding its young, but I think it's gone back to the other side of the island. It was just feeding its youngsters there, so I'm not too sure where it's gone off to now. And then of course we have 2 beautiful cattle egrets on top of the trees. What seems to be an old jackalberry. And they're also enjoying a bit of a Sunday morning. It is Sunday today. No wonder everyone's so slow. Everyone's taking it easy. Ah, there it is. Fish eagle, how are you doing? We saw you the other day when you were trying to dry up and you were not that happy. We can tell there's been less rain, and so it's not trying to dry up just yet, but it's probably just keeping an eye out in the water to see what comes up for air. Perhaps it'll get hunting a little bit later. Now it doesn't seem like it's caught anything or that it's got anything on top of that tree. And I wonder where the other one is, because there is a pair that lives here. And they seem to have claimed this particular dam as a jade tree, which is a very beautiful dam. If I were a fish eagle, I would have also tried to get my hands on this one. But I can't tell where the other one is. So perhaps the other one is exploring some more real estate, looking into a different piece of land where they can move into. Well, I wouldn't be giving this one up easily. So they're probably better off here than going anywhere else. Now lots of impala running around, lots of waterbuck. Kendra, you mentioned that it looked like a monitor lizard or a crocodile on the island. Let me just double check again with my binoculars where, but I can't really see a monitor lizard. Let's see. If you can maybe give us some pointers, we can go and check again there. Was it close to the tree where the cattle egrets were, or close to where the white-faced whistling duck are? I can't really see anything, but I wouldn't be surprised if there was indeed a monitor lizard hiding somewhere in there, perhaps one of the crocodiles as well. And it seems like the two hippos are also now starting to play. Hi guys. And there's one of the parents that's perhaps opening its mouth and telling them to remember to play nice and not be nasty to one another. No, I definitely cannot see a monitor lizard. Are you guys going to start annoying the ducks now? The ducks are very curious. I don't think they're quite... Well, they know that the hippos won't eat them, because if it were something else and another predator, they wouldn't be standing so still so close to the hippos. But if one of these youngsters falls on one of those whistling ducks, they'll be able to squish them straight away. Look at the two of you, biting each other and playing. I'm inclined to say that these are two young males trying to show each other who's the more dominant one. And the reason for it is because as they grow older, then they carry on doing this. They're mock fighting just to gain some of the skills and just start to practice as to what they're going to have to do when they get a little bit older and they are pushed out of this beautiful area and they have to go and find a pond for themselves if they want to have access to females and mating rights. Now one of them is clearly bigger, the one whose head is out of the water, and the other one seems to be slightly smaller, but still very feisty youngster. Yeah, you tell him. There's a lot of biting going on. Oh, there we go. Hippo's outside of the water. Well, you are very feisty considering you're only half the size of your sibling potentially, and I think that's the mom there that's keeping an eye on the two of them, making sure that nobody gets injured in this process. This is a time when I wish we had some sort of idea into what goes underneath, some sort of subaquatic view. But obviously it's got to be crystal clear underneath the water, which I'm not too sure would be possible in any of our dams in Africa. They tend to get quite muddy, especially at this time of the year, with so many rains. Alright, seems like you guys have taken it down again, heading up. Oh, they're having a blast in the water this morning. Hippos tend to have only one offspring at a time, but they'll still keep a bond with their older offspring when the new one comes in. It's very rare that hippos ever have twins, and I'm not too sure if it's ever been recorded in the wild. But in general, they normally have one. Now, in this particular case, I think we're looking at the youngest one and then its older sibling, as the mom was around. And sometimes what also happens is females that will have youngsters of the same age will crush them together, just like we saw earlier with the wildebeest, just so that they can play and somebody will look after them. So it could be that this is not even siblings, it's just a mom that's been in charge of looking after them while the other mom either rests or has gone off for food. I think more resting than going off for food. So it's pretty late in the morning and I don't think hippos will be out and about. Although in this weather conditions, this is the time of the day when they do come out during the day and move around. I think we're gonna go explore the back of the dam wall, see if perhaps we can pick up on any signs of Tandy, but while we do that, let's head over to Byron.
Okay, well, we're still wandering around through the bush and finding interesting little insects. Now, insects that we don't like are these little guys. Let me try and show you. That's a few ticks, 3 ticks on one blade of grass. So we've got to be careful this time of year. Walking around, the bush is very thick, the grass is long, and there are a lot of ticks at the moment. And these ones, you're saying, these ones, You can usually see them, it's alright. It's the little pepper ticks that you can't see. I'll put this one back. I'm going to put them back so they can stay out here. I don't want to take them back to camp with me. But the little pepper ticks give you nasty little bites that are incredibly itchy. We were saying sometimes 3-4 weeks afterwards you can still feel the itch. Ah, this is beautiful. Wonderful, wonderful. Have a look at this magnificent spider. Can you see the view? Is that right? This is a garden orb web spider. A garden orb web spider. And it has managed to catch something. It is feeding on something. But those colors are magnificent. And the way it sits on the web, like this with its legs together. So it looks like it's only got 4 legs. Because it brings 2 legs or pair together at the back and then at the front. And then you can see this beautiful, what they call a stabilimentum, I think. I think that's a correct name. So what the spider does is it purposefully spins the web and makes this part of the web extra thick. And the reason for that, one is to attract insects. I think the insects are attracted to that. And then also, the theory is that if animals come, they can actually see this. So they avoid breaking the web. So they see that stabilimentum. I'm trying to see what this tick is feeding on. I can't make out what the spider's feeding on. I can't make out, but it is draining its prey. So what will happen is the spider will bite, inject venom, and that venom kills the insect and then also digests the insect from the inside, and the spider then drains and drinks that fluid. That's what it feeds on. But magnificent shape, that abdomen, look at that. It really is very beautiful. Naomi, I don't think the spider would eat the ticks. Those little ticks would not provide substantial food for the spider. The spider would prefer flying insects, moths, that type of thing, something a bit bigger and something a bit softer that it can inject venom in and get a lot of food out of. Not those ticks. I've never seen a spider feeding on a tick. That was great. It was something very interesting. I mean, there's ticks and the spider. Donald, now getting back to the ticks. The ticks in Africa don't give us Lyme disease. I think that's predominantly in the States. However, we do get something called... Sorry, I'm just looking. There's a rattling testicular going mad. Sorry, Donald, I'll get back to your question now. Just having a look. Sometimes the rattling testiculars just make a noise for no reason, I think. Just to make sure we're awake. So Donald, Lyme disease, no, we don't get it here. We do get something called tick bite fever, which I've had before. Similar to Lyme disease, not as bad though, but your body goes very, very weak. You start high temperature, your joints ache, your glands swell, you feel terrible. And really tired. But it takes about a week and then usually you're okay. You can just take a course of antibiotics to help with that. So my favorite grass over here. This is a Natal red top. And you can actually see the beautiful reddish coloration to that grass. Very soft inflorescence. That's the flowers on the grass blade. Natal red top. I do enjoy these. Love seeing them, and at times you do get subspecies of Natal red top. Some go really bright red, and you drive through parts of South Africa, you can see them in all this red grass. It really is magnificent. Okay, well, let's carry on. Let's go and see what Tristan is up to now.
Well, Byron, I'm driving, I'm bumbling, I'm trying very hard to find some tracks that don't just disappear on the hard concrete-like roads, and hopefully that will lead me to a spotted kitty this morning. The lions were much easier. They were playing the game this morning. The leopards have decided it's Sunday, fun day, and maybe they don't want to be seen. Tingana is hiding from Ali, and the rest of them, well, they're not out and about at the moment, so we'll have to just try and see. There's a lot of guys that are looking for leopards in this area, and none of them have been successful yet. So, Cuz, can you just repeat the name for me, please? Is it Boo? Goo, with a G. Thank you very much. So, Goo, we have absolutely no idea where the hyena den is at the moment. We have been trying. So, I've checked pretty much all the old dens that we know of recently, and none of them have got any sign of activity at all. There is a female hyena that is lactating that's in the northwestern corner of Djuma, and we've scratched around and checked and can't really find anything at this stage. So it's one of those things where we're going to just have to keep looking, and eventually hopefully we'll find, you know, a path or a sign of these guys going in and out and try and follow it in there, or we're going to find it using bushwalk. That's the other way to do it. So, you know, now that Herbie's back on his feet and feeling better and we're out and about on bushwalk, it's going to be much easier for us to hopefully maybe find a hyena den somewhere on Djuma, because at the moment it's all been a little on the quiet side when it comes to hyena dens, and it would be really nice to find a hyena den again, because they are such a joy and such a sort of source of entertainment when you watch those little ones go about their business, that it would be really good to have one. Miss our hyenas a little bit, so it would be nice to have them a little bit more, and also just catch up on what's going on with our clan, because as it stands at the moment we really have no idea. I don't think Madam Pretty have been seen in a very long time. We know that Gwen disappeared, so did Scarback, so you know there's really just Ribbon left, and I don't know who else. I mean, it's been so difficult to follow what's going on with our den because of their movements and how we can't find the actual den sites. It's making it really difficult to find out how the clan is going and who's who in the clan at the moment, and if we've got new members, if there's a different sort of section of individuals that are starting to set up shop, or the younger females maybe, you know, starting to mate. It's difficult to say. Now I see a vehicle that's up in front that's, I think, just ambling along. I'm not sure. Fergus, are they stopped? I can't see. They are stopped. Someone is off the vehicle. Maybe they're going for a little loo break. So we're not going to interrupt loo break. We don't want to see an unidentified snake on camera. And so while we kind of avoid that situation, let's send you back across to Ali and see what her plans are for the rest of the morning.
I've been in your position way too many times, and it's always awkward. We haven't found any signs for Thandi anywhere around behind the dam wall for Chitwa. So I think we're going to try our luck with Tingana again, see if perhaps we can get a second glimpse. If not, if he's still in there, it's going to be quite a hard one to try and even decipher. But who knows? At least we know that he's doing well and that he's sleeping and that he's having a good time in there. And it's probably, if I were a leopard, I would also have a very late start to the day on a Sunday afternoon. And it seems like there's been quite a commotion. Luckily, the Nkahumas are back onto the land where we can see them, which is wonderful. And I'm sure they'll be around this afternoon as well. Now, I'm puzzling about that particular male. And I think maybe that should be my plan for the afternoon. Sorry, you'll understand why I'm laughing fairly soon. There is a little baby elephant on top of a termite mound, and it just looks hilarious. Senzo, can you get it from there? There are quite a few bushes in our way. But he looks very funny on top of that termite mound, pretending to be the king of the world. Hello. All the way up on the termite mound, are we? Now, it's a bit of a tricky spot to try and get in and get a bit of a better view because of the amount of bushes that are actually next to the road. But this is just hilarious. There's always a little one that wants to get tall enough. It's almost I believe this is almost the elephant's way of saying, I want to be big already. So what do they do to get to the height that they'll probably have when they're adults? Just go on top of a termite mound. But it also bears witness to just how sturdy the termite mounds are. This youngster is probably well over 100 to 100 kilograms. So the fact that this termite mound hasn't crumbled underneath this weight is just proof that termites know what they're doing when it comes to building houses. Ironically, because they are also some of the ones that bring down the houses. Well, other species of them, not this particular one that built this termite mound. Oh, you just wanted to get to that tree. That's the juiciest of them all, isn't it? That buffalo thorn that you're eating up there. Now, it's not rare or uncommon for trees to grow from termite mounds. It happens often that because the termites go down to the bottom of the underground and they recycle almost the soil. They go down there, and while they're digging, they come and everything that they found at the bottom they put back up. That it's very fertile soil for trees to come in or to grow in. And then, of course, there's the added fact that often we will see the birds coming and feeding on the termites or just lying on top there. So sometimes when the birds defecate, the seeds of whatever it is that they've defecated can also grow in a particular termite mound. I think this one's just enjoying probably the yummy buffalo thorns that are in there. And I'm not too sure what you're doing now. It almost seems like it was scratching itself against that wooden part. Are you scratching? Must be sore to scratch against it because it's got a lot of thorns, youngster. That is quite funny. Very, very funny. I want to see if perhaps there's a way for us to get in here that might allow us to have a bit of a better, more clear view. I think the best way is just to go back. Seems like there's a bit of an opening here. Good. Maybe we'll be able to have a look at the king of the mound a little bit easier. And here we were thinking that only lion cubs like doing that, and leopard cubs, and there we go. Even elephants like to do that. Alright, where is the termite mound? There it is. There's the baby elephant. Alright, now it's going to be tricky just to see where we're going to have a closer view, but I think this is going to be the way. Oh my goodness. Probably going to get a flat tire with all these stumps. No, you came down. They are very smart creatures and very brave. Look at this one. Yeah, I'm terrified. Well done, little elephant. Came down from his termite mound, charging at us, telling us who's the boss. We just wanted to admire you on your throne, that was all. Pretty little elephant. Now, unfortunately, we didn't get to see him up there, but it's always fun to get mock charged by a little one. It's quite endearing, but it seems like Tristan is with some more elephants, so let's head over to him.
We're with a young bull elephant who is busy doing what, well, every elephant has been doing over the past month, which is gobbling up marula fruits at a rate of knots. And he is just kind of slowly walking around and around the tree and picking up all that he can. And I'm pretty sure his path is going to take him a little closer to us fairly shortly, because I see one or two marulas that are lying close by. And so what he does is he literally just takes one step and the trunk goes from side to side, gets rid of every little marula that's on the floor, and then he walks another step, and so it goes, and just slowly but surely moves forward until we have sucked up every single marula that there possibly is. And you can see he's doesn't discriminate. It doesn't matter if there's green ones, yellow ones, it doesn't matter to him at all. Got to get the branches out the way first, and then up they go. And he's quite greedy because he picks up more than one at a time. Most elephants will do one or two at a time, but I think he picked up almost 4 there in one little grab. So obviously a little glutton that we've got here. And this is a young bull. He's not an old individual at all. You can see his tusks are still quite small, covered in mud, so he's obviously been mud wallowing recently, and his skin is quite dark too, so probably come from a mud wallow in the last little bit. But a very relaxed individual. We're kind of sitting right here, and he's not too stressed about us at all, so very cool. It's always nice to be in the company of these bull elephants. I love a bull elephant. They generally are very intelligent individuals. They've seen a lot in their time, and there's something about their sheer size that makes you kind of feel a little bit insignificant in a way, and you're kind of in awe of this massive animal. Now this guy is not quite at that point yet where he's kind of getting you to think that you are absolutely tiny, but some of the bulls we have had around recently are massive, and they have these huge heads and big ears, and their trunks get very thick around the tusk section, and they just become massively impressive individuals. So it's always nice when you get ellies of that size around, and well, to think that this youngster will eventually be that size will be very cool. He'll be an individual that we'll easily recognize because he's got a big tear on his right ear. So there's a massive tear in a flap of his ear that hangs forward. There you go. You see it at the bottom corner. So that will be a diagnostic feature of his ears forever and ever and ever. That ear won't close up in that area. So you'll always have that tear and that little flappy part of his ear at the bottom. Are you going to come closer and say hello? We're not stealing your marulas, don't worry. They're all for you. So he's kind of giving us this eye as if to say, you don't take my marulas, these are my marulas, you will not have them, I want them, and so I'm going to get as many as I can. Ruth, to our untrained, sort of very poor, not smelling sense, probably not. A ripe marula and a unripe marula probably won't smell too different. But I think to an elephant, I would imagine that there is a difference, and that they'll know the difference between ones that are ready to eat and ones that aren't. Because when the early stages of marulas are happening, and you get a storm and a few of the small ones fall, the elephants ignore them completely. They don't eat them at all. It's only when they can actually smell that sweet smell that the marulas have that they come in and feed off them. And you can actually watch when he goes about this, is he doesn't eat every single one. Sometimes he just brushes over it with his trunk, smells it, and then he leaves it behind. He doesn't take that particular one. So it's only certain ones that smell good and obviously have a much more sweeter smell to them are the ones that he actually wants to eat. But going crazy on these marulas, it's just non-stop. Those trunks are like little vacuums that just suck them up. And then I love the way that they put them in their mouth. They don't place them in their mouth. It's one fluid swing that goes from trunk, and they almost throw them in, so they don't actually sort of in any way place them there. They get pushed out by air and the momentum of the trunk itself throwing them into the mouth. So it's like almost like somebody with peanuts that throws them up in the air and into their mouths, or popcorn. I've seen people do it with popcorn. A few of our staff members or crew members are very good at doing the popcorn throw up and catch in the mouth. Connor used to do it all the time, actually. Up his nose. Sometimes it depends on how he felt. Fergus, his nose sometimes got popcorn in it, or peanuts. Not that you'd want peanuts or popcorn up your nose, especially not the peanuts. If it gets stuck up there, it's going to be very unfortunate. Kirby, the elephants, I don't think they respond to our words because they're not animals that we spend every single waking day with and talk to them a lot. So they respond to the fact that we're here, no doubt. They know that there's this big object next to them and they can hear us talking. And they kind of sometimes will just pique up their interest a little bit when they get close and I'm talking, and they kind of notice. But, I don't think they are responding to each individual word that we say. We don't spend enough time with them for that to happen. If we were to spend every waking moment with them, I would imagine that they would start to recognize some of the things that we say. Elephants are capable of recognizing a pattern in speech and are able to figure out certain words, and they've calculated that they are able to comprehend an action over 100 different words. So if you spent enough time with them, yes, they probably would. In our situations, no. This bull elephant, I might have seen him once before, or maybe never before. And so for him to understand what I'm saying is probably very difficult. He probably doesn't have any idea of what I'm on about, and can hear me but doesn't make out any sort of reaction to what I'm saying because it's probably just background noise for him. If, like I say, I spent all my time with him and I constantly spoke to him, and then you'd probably find a situation that he would recognize certain things and would be able to respond to that. Right, well, our Ellie is still busy munching away. We're probably going to leave him be and let him enjoy his marulas since he's been lovely. And because he's now farting in our direction, we're certainly not going to stick around. But while we get out of here, let's send you across to Byron. He's got something. I didn't hear what because the elephant farted at the same time. And so I'm going to carry on and get out of the cloud that is drifting our way. And so enjoy what Byron has for you.
Tristan. Well, we've managed to find a bearded woodpecker, and I hope it knocks for us. It's doing that territorial knock. Let's see. Just hold on. You may even hear it. Cleaning himself. Come on. Do it once more for us. They find a, there we go, did you see that? Awesome. They find a hollow tree and then they knock like that, not to look for food necessarily, but it's a territorial call. And the bearded woodpecker is the only one that I know has that territorial knock. That's awesome. Wonderful. Nice to see and to hear. Oh, that's great. So, bearded woodpecker. There's a lot of birds. We've seen a lot of birds around at the moment. Some great birding. Orange-breasted bushshrike, woodpeckers. But obviously it's difficult to get them on camera, especially when we're on foot, because the birds tend to fly away a lot quicker. In the vehicle, somehow there's another one calling, or knocking rather, another bearded woodpecker. Yeah, see, they're returning the call. Now that one over there, I wonder if that's not a youngster. Can you see it, Vim? Yeah, it looks like a bearded, but I don't see that red hood. I'll just double check that. Sometimes, yeah, it's going to the tree where that other one is sitting. Julian, you say you love woodpeckers. So do I. They're fascinating little birds, aren't they? And the ability to hit a piece of wood so hard is incredible. Really is amazing. Wonderful. Nice little interaction there between the woodpeckers. Is it you wondering if they get a headache from knocking on the tree? Well, I don't think so. Have a look. There's some interesting little beetles here. No, they definitely don't. They don't get a headache. So what happens is the skull of the woodpecker, there's a lot of fluid inside the head that protects the brain. Also, the tongue is very, very long, and the tongue wraps right around the back of the head. And that acts as almost a buffer and a cushion for that hard knocking. So that protects the brain so that they don't get a headache. Have a look here. Can you see that? What is that little guy there? Look at that. Beautiful beetle. Very shiny carapace, shiny shell, but I'm not sure what species of beetle this is. I was going to say it looked almost like a carrion beetle, but it's definitely not. That shiny shell, maybe a chafer of sorts. Put it back, beautiful. But you see that shine? I can hear a cuckoo calling behind us somewhere. I think it's in that thicket. I don't think we're going to see it. It's a Jacobin cuckoo. Can you see it there? Yeah, well done. Yeah, Jacobin cuckoo. Up in that tree. Awesome. Well done, Viam. Great. Well, with all the bird life around us, we're going to start making our way back to camp, though. We've got quite a bit of a walk still, but let's go across to Ali, who's still driving around.
Seems like Byron always likes being the first one on the head of the bacon race. For some reason or another, I always find that he's the first one back in camp when there's breakfast involved. I think that's a good thing to do, Byron. I'm not judging. Now, Chitwa seems to be a little bit deserted. Not too many things going out and about on the side that we've been checking, and also really no tracks whatsoever for any of the creatures that we might want to see this morning. So I'm just gonna also slowly start heading back, but I want to go past that spot where Tingana was, see if perhaps we get a second time lucky and we manage to see him. Although if he's still lying down in that spot, it's going to be very tricky, and well, we're just gonna see a few spots. We're gonna know that he's there and breathing, but that's probably about it, unless he decides to raise his head, in which case we might be able to have a bit of a better look. But we're gonna try anyway, see if maybe he's still there, if we can get in and have a look. And if not, well, then at least we know where to start looking for him this afternoon, which is always wonderful. Makes it easier once you've got a starting point. No, we're not too far. We're just at the... just have to turn down the road, and hopefully we won't be attacked by any gremlins or anything of the sort. I think maybe I should have scared them this morning with a bit of my ninja abilities. Maybe that would have been better. Alright, off we go. Hopefully he'll still be down here. We're not too far now. So gremlin, stay away. We don't want you here. It's Sunday. Go have a rest somewhere and leave us alone. Now there are so many beautiful flowers that are coming out, so I'm sure it's going to be interesting in the next few days. We're still a little bit far away from where Tingana is, so while we get there, let's head back to Tristan.
Well, good luck, Ali. I hope that the gremlins decide to leave you alone and you are able to find Tingana wherever he may be. Right, but we are still on the search for Thandi. We thought we had were onto something when we had a whole bunch of alarm calls, but it turned out to be some African hawk eagles that came buzzing past our front of our car and flew past, and that was what was triggering all of the birds and squirrels to go a little bit moggy and to kind of lose the plot a little bit. So unfortunately for us, no Thandi signs just yet. This is the last time Byron saw her. She came out of here, and so I was thinking maybe, just maybe, the cub is in this area, although that cub is so big now, she moves it around all over the place, and so I don't think they would still be here, but you never know. It's worth just going very slowly, double checking, maybe listening out for some sort of alarm call. Maybe we even get lucky and spot her somewhere here. Michael, you asking about game drive radio and how long it takes to learn how to operate the game drive radio. Well, for some it seems like they never learn how to use the game drive radio. Some feel like it's a telephone that they can have an hour-long conversation on, which is completely the opposite of what a game drive radio is meant to be used for. So unfortunately some people just don't get the concept, but normally it takes you, it's quick, it's not even, I would say, take you maybe 4 or 5 drives and you'll have it pretty much down. It's just more about learning when to use it, what to use it for, and what to say on it, and to try and keep things brief, concise, and with the relevant information. What happens often is people ramble on for long periods about stuff that is pretty meaningless, and it just annoys everybody else that isn't really interested in your conversation. So it's just that kind of thing that takes a little bit of time, and just exactly how to say it and what to say. And so you find some people take a little longer than others, but generally it shouldn't take you long. 5-6 drives and you should be pretty much on top of it. It's funny though, when you first start with the radio, you're so petrified to use it because you don't want to make a mistake and everyone to hear you. But after a while, it just gets to the point where you don't really care too much, and you've kind of used it so often that it just becomes second nature, and you're able to just do what you need to do without really worrying too much at all. Now you might be wondering why I'm going so slowly at the moment. That's because this is the area, like I say, where Thandi was seen. So it's very dense here, very thick, and it's worth just going slowly and checking under each bush, making sure that we find any sign, if there is, of her being around here. Right, now I believe Ali has gotten to Tingana and hasn't got gremlins, so let's send you across so you can get a view of him.
We have managed to get across to Tingana, and I think he moved from where we saw him earlier. We could see his back, and now we can see a little bit more of his belly. His head was a little bit curious when we first arrived, but just barely. And now he's gone back to sleep. So he is here. We know that he's chosen a very good spot, and I don't think he's going to be going anywhere. Oh, look, stretching. Yeah, you got a very nice bed of leaves over there. Your stomach is looking not that bad, I must say. It seems like you've been able to get something in there. So I am hoping that with the storm approaching, you'll get lucky with some of the prey species that are all around this area. Perhaps an impala that doesn't get stolen from a male lion this time around. That would be wonderful for you. And I'm sorry for the impala whose death we're wishing, or not really wishing, but it's a bit of a tricky one, because we obviously want Tingana to be able to carry on succeeding and just being around for much, much longer. You've got cubs to protect, mister, so you better get back onto shape and make sure you fend off any other male leopards that want to come into this area and cause any harm to the youngsters. Now, he's very sound asleep, and he barely has moved the whole morning. He's just been here, and I reckon he's probably going to be here this afternoon, or if not exactly in this particular spot, maybe not too far. We are very close to the Molowanini, which was flowing a few days ago, and because of all the rain we've had, there are still lots and lots of puddles of water in here. So if he wants to go down for water, if it gets too hot at some point, he's only got to walk about maybe 5 meters or so, and then he can choose a puddle from there. Maybe. And the water, because it's in the sand, it seems to be quite filtered. It's not looking as muddy as the water in some of the other puddles that are all around the bush. Look at you, sleeping like that, like a headless leopard almost, because we can't see your head. Now, there is no way for me to reposition. This is basically the best view, because as you can see, there's very, very thick all around us, and then the Molowanini is right behind all of this stretch. So this is virtually the only spot where we can see him. There's a Molowanini down there, and we are pretty much facing down and looking back at him. So as much as I wish that perhaps there was another spot, I think he's chosen this particular spot for exactly that reason, so that we can't see him. Trish, you're saying he looks so soft. I reckon he could. He's probably had a nice bath in the rain the last few days, so maybe all of his coat is nice and clean. Look at you, all the way in there. Your beautiful spots. Now, I think we are going to leave you to your sleep. I don't think you're going to be up too much. When we came here earlier, you were up to pretty much the same. And I reckon he's going to carry on doing the same. So I think, Tingana, we are going to leave you and see if perhaps we can find any of the other leopards that you've been hanging out with, or any other creature that you've been related to. So, while we try to get ourselves out of this spot, let's head back to Byron, who's slowly strolling back towards breakfast.
Ellie, I am. And I'm not always the first one back for breakfast. It's between Tristan and I think. Between Tristan and I. Now, I was going to try and quickly lie down and get flat in the grass, but there's so many ticks around. I was going to pretend I'm like Tingana, but I'm not interested in the ticks, so not going to do that. Now, I saw some beautiful flowers. Hold on a second. Yeah, there we go. Oh, Tristan says I'm lying, that he hasn't been back first for a long time. Yeah. Beautiful wild hibiscus. Lovely flowers. I do enjoy seeing them. And some ants on there. But they're really, really very, very beautiful. They stand out so much this time of year, and they get big. I saw one earlier. It must have been about this big. Really massive, massive hibiscus, about that size. I'm just listening out. There are so many birds calling at the moment. There's oxpeckers. There are, what else? Bush shrikes, doves, woodland kingfishers. So many birds. Franklins. It's amazing. It's amazing. The bush is really coming alive. And it's starting to drizzle slightly again. I think we might just miss the rain if it rains a little bit later. Oh, sorry, Chris, I couldn't hear you properly there. Could you just repeat that, please? Herbie, invasive species on the reserve, yes. But I think mainly down near the rivers and that, we do get a lot of invasive species, and that's due to them washing down from communities and that. So weeds and stuff that grow around those areas, mainly along the rivers. I'm just going to move out the way. There's a vehicle coming. Oh no, they're turning. I'll just give them a nice wave, pretend we're friendly. No, I'm joking, we're always friendly. And I do enjoy bumping into guests from different lodges that are out here, and just seeing and trying to get an idea of how they're enjoying this safari. Hopefully they will enjoy it, I'm sure they will. Find out what they've seen, and they usually ask us, what have you seen? And then I often reply with impala. We've seen lots of impala. Because I remember guiding, it's sometimes difficult when you've got guests and you might return back from camp and you had a quiet morning, you possibly didn't see as much, because it is difficult to get from one side of the reserve to the other, and perhaps another guide got to see a cheetah or a leopard, and then those guests would speak to my guests and say, oh well, did you see the cheetah? And my guests go, no, we didn't. What cheetah? And they kind of look at you thinking, well, why did these people see a cheetah and you didn't? It happens like that sometimes. But you manage the situation. You say, we are going to go look for the cheetah this afternoon, whatever. And usually it works out and you do get to see it. Or you see something else interesting later that day. So the bush, never, I don't know, maybe that could be a tip of the day. Never expect to see everything in one day. You've got a stay of about 3 or 4 days. Things will happen for you. Be patient, and the bush will allow you to enjoy everything, I'm sure. That's how I always guide guests, and so far it's worked out quite nicely. All right, well, it sounds like Tingana still has Ali, so let's go and find out from him what Ali is up to.
Byron. Yes, we have left Tingana. He is up to pretty much nothing. He's enjoying his beauty sleep. So I think we're just going to let him sleep in peace. He's right next to the main road, so I reckon the noises of the cars are almost like a nice humming lullaby to him, and he just can carry on sleeping and enjoying the rainy Sunday morning. Now, again, if it does pour down, he's got the best spot in the house. He's got a very safe spot, unless it rains that much that the Molowanini starts flooding, in which case then Tingana would probably have to worry. But if the Molowanini floods that much, then I think we probably won't even be able to cross the Molowati to get here. Now we're heading down towards the Molowati as well, so I think maybe I'm gonna go check Treehouse Dam, see what's been happening there before we head back to breakfast. Really, that's the only word that comes to mind. Breakfast and coffee sounds wonderful, like a wonderful combination for a Sunday morning, and I think both Tristan and Byron will agree with me on that. Hey Senzo, you would also like coffee and breakfast? I think Senzo's not here with us just yet. He clearly needs more coffee. Alright, fly little doves. There we go, all the way down to the bottom. Now I'm really puzzled about the movements of the lions this morning. It seems like the sticks decided to go all the way further south, and from the Molowati that was an easy spot for them. Clearly they were on the hunt yesterday, and by the sounds of it they got something. And now the Nkahumas have come all the way back up, probably from, it almost seems like they came from the south corner of the property, so I wonder if they just missed each other. I think these lions are also dancing a dangerous waltz with one another, because when one moves in, the other one does, and hopefully they won't make the mistake of bumping into one another, because I'm not too sure how that would fare. I reckon there would be a lot of aggression on both sides, just because they both have got tiny cubs, so it can either go both ways, that there'll be chaos and they'll both run in different directions and try to avoid themselves, or they'll be quite violent to one another. I'm gonna try and not fall off the car in this particular sketchy spot, just and see if we get any more luck.
I shall advise you don't fall off a car. I can tell you from personal experience that it's not that much fun. It certainly isn't as fun as it looks, and then everybody laughs at you, so that's not ideal. But anyway, it was fun. I suppose in the hindsight it's fun for everybody else, but not for the person that falls off the car. Hey Fergus. Or headbutts the camera. You did stay in the car, but you were hugging your camera very tightly after that little incident. You have to when I drive. Fergus, that's not very nice. I feel like I drive okay.
When you're in the car.
When I'm in the car, I drive well. Otherwise, it's a bit of a problem. Fair enough. I can understand that being the case. So, still no sign of Tundi anywhere. We drove very slowly. We checked. The problem is also the amount of water that is around means that our animals don't actually have to move very far at all to find water, which means that they're not really walking on the roads as much as we would want them to. So the rain is great and we need it, but it makes life a little harder for the spotty cats, that's for sure. Be truthful, yes, I am concerned that Shadow and Cub have not been seen. It doesn't really feel right at the moment. I don't know where she could be or what the story is. I mean, she's a relaxed enough leopard that should be getting seen. I feel like I've said this, I don't know how many times over the course of the last year, given we had Kruger disappear, Shungile disappear, now Shadow and not Barbara. So hopefully she just turns up. Hopefully she's just flying under the radar somewhere on an area like Hoffman's where very few people are traversing. That's what I'm kind of hoping for, but it's not a nice feeling to know that one of our leopards are not really being seen, in fact, and let alone two of them. So not really, I am concerned. I would hope that we're going to see some sort of sign of them soon and some sort of indication of them being around again. It would be very, very sad if it was that they disappeared too. It would just be, such a bad 12 months actually, not even 24 months. It's a very similar time to Karula disappearing last year. So, it would be a horrible kind of thing if she has, and I hope that that's not the case and that she'll show up somewhere soon. Even if, it's not Barbara's maybe not with her and the two of them show up separately, that's okay too. I wouldn't mind that. Funnily enough though, with Shadow, it's a weird thing is that if she does separate from a cub, she becomes very elusive, and she's more relaxed with a cub than she is without a cub. So, maybe that's what's happened. Maybe she's just gone through this severing process with the cub. But what surprises me is the cub itself. We should have seen the cub a lot more. The cub would have been hanging around in places that it knows very well, and there's just been no updates whatsoever, no signs. Nobody's saying that they've actually seen tracks for the two of them together, or even tracks for a female leopard that's not being found. So, it's a difficult one, and I'm hoping, like I say, that it's just a bit of, we're all kind of concerned, but that everything will be sorted out fairly soon. But you never know. It's always a situation where it's a little tough. Morning guys, how you doing? Good. So I'm just saying hello to everybody. But I hope, like I say, that she turns up somewhere and both of them are okay. It would be very sad if it wasn't. I don't know what it is about our females at the moment, particularly the young females. They're having the hardest time. Mark, you say Elephant Plains reported that they saw Shadow's cub on the 20th, so 5 days ago. Is that for sure? 20th of this month, I take it, Mark. Hopefully. But that's good news if that's the case. That's very good news if that's the case. I'll try to get hold of the Elephant Plains guys and find out what's going on. I have a feeling though that's the 20th of January that you're referring to, which is obviously a long time ago. That's a month ago. So, I don't know. I'll try to get hold of them and find out. I've asked the guys in the eastern side, so Chitwa and Koro, and they've had nothing. They've got no updates for me on Shadow or Cub. And there's been a few photos that have been posted, I know, on social media, but none of those are recent. A lot of those are actually from previous sightings from January. Oh, what's that? There's a brown snake eagle. See that, Fergus? Is the pole in the way, or are we going to be all right? Perfectly in the way. Excellent. Of course it would. No, are we all right? Okay, good. So there's a brown snake eagle that's kind of fluffed out a little bit. I think it's busy just doing a bit of preening and sorting out all the feathers, making sure it's ready to go. I thought for a second, sometimes when they sit like that with their wings slightly out, they sometimes have a prey item in their talons that they're trying to get in control. So, Mark, you say 20th of Feb. Interesting. Okay, I'll try and find out more about that. Thanks, Mark. And hopefully that is the case, because if she was seen 5 days ago, well, that's going to be wonderful news. It means that she's still around. And, well, we'll just have to wait for Mom now to make an appearance. But I'll try and get hold of the guys and find out. I'm sure that that's the case if they did Elephant Plains guys normally are pretty good with their IDs, so hopefully that will be the case. But our brown snake eagle, you can tell brown snake eagle immediately just from seeing it from afar. It's got that big round robust head, bright yellow eyes, barring on the tail, and bare featherless legs, so stovepipe legs. It's very easy to ID these guys, and they generally are quite common in dead trees like this. This is where they often will sit for the night, and then also early in the morning when we've got a bit of rain around and clouds, they'll spend time on these dead trees where they use that big eye to watch out for any snakes that are moving. And I think today will be a good day for snake movement. If the sun comes out a little bit and just warms up slightly, you might find the snakes being quite active, which will play right into the hands of a bird that hunts snakes regularly, like this fella over here. But we've got to make sure one looks good before we go hunting anything. And it actually looks like a fairly young bird. You can see it's still got a few white markings on it, so it's still going into its adult plumage, so it must be a young individual. Good. He is marching towards breakfast as only he can. He has to come in first place for breakfast time, and so we'll go across to him and see how close he is to the finish line.
I'm being picked on this morning for breakfast. I don't know why. Well, anyway, we found some mushrooms. They have more mushrooms, different species. See how many different types of mushrooms there are around here, though. It's amazing. Now, these are much bigger and wider. You can see, if I hold my hand here, see how big that mushroom is? Quite a large one. And there are still some that are even bigger than that. I did see a little velvet ant running around here, but it disappeared. Now, those are those little wasps, beautiful colors on them, a reddish abdomen, white spots on, but they sting incredibly sore. Do you see something of them? Oh, can you see them? VM saw some elephant, possibly fighting or pushing one another around. Maybe some playful behavior. There they are. Right on the other side of the dam. Loads of elephant around. And a beautiful monarch butterfly that's very close to me right now. Just over here. There we go. Oh. I love seeing these butterflies. They're magnificent. They're probably one of my favorite butterflies. That and that citrus swallowtail and yellow and black butterfly are beautiful. Sure, very peaceful. Still a lot of birds calling at the moment. And still the odd ellie around. There's still so many marulas. That's why we're still seeing so many elephant. But there's lots of food around for these animals, which is great. Is that a large bird? What is that? It is a large bird. It's a hardy-dar. Not a massive fan of hardy-dars. Don't mind them, but they make a lot of noise, and they we get them in Johannesburg too, and they make a lot of noise when they're flying over your house early in the morning. You can hear the hardy-dars flying over. All right, well, I think that's about it for the bushwalk, but let's go across to Ellie, and I think she's going to finish up.
Well, we are on our way back home as well. We haven't been able to pick up on much on the way, but I'm sure we're going to have an entertaining afternoon. The Nkuhumas are around. We know Tingana's around. Perhaps another male lion is around. And, well, who knows, maybe either Tamba or Hosanna somewhere along Central. We've got a wide range of possibilities that we can explore this afternoon, and sounds like a wonderful opportunity to go and explore everything, and hopefully it'll be nice and dry. And if the rain wants to come, clouds, if you can hear me, now is the time to start pouring, because you have until around about 3:30 in this afternoon to pour down. After that, we are sorry, but we need to go look for creatures, so please just make sure it doesn't rain. Thank you. All right, now having gotten that request out of the way, we are slowly going home, and I wonder if we're going to bump into Byron, or if he's already sitting down having breakfast. Going to give him some trouble when we get back, and I'm no doubt he's going to have something to say. But But it's actually one of those mornings where I feel like time has gone very quickly. There's been a lot of interesting things happening. I'm sure everyone's enjoyed Byron being out on a bushwalk again. And well, Tristan had a very easy bout of tracking this morning, finding the Nkuhumas. And it sounds like they were very close to where Tamba was yesterday. So also lots of different things going around. Whew. A few bumps. I'm sure that they've gotten worse with the rain. Now we need is some wind to be able to smooth things out once more so that we can start driving in a bit of an easier way. I wonder if we're gonna find some more elephants this afternoon. As you can see, they've been everywhere and everything's looking very, very dark. Now I'm gonna go and hide from the darkness and probably drink more coffee and have a wonderful breakfast and catch up with everyone. But we hope to see everyone again on this afternoon safari, which promises to be very entertaining.